Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Muhammad Afif Bajibar as the opener of this presentation today. We are from Group 3 and we are going to discuss about the manner of articulation. Okay, this is the members of our group: Afri Lisna, Laila Indah, Tio Irawan, Vena Angelita, Safira Salsabila, and Muhammad Afif. I hope all of you can pay attention to our presentation today. Okay, let's start the presentation. Okay, now we are moving to occlusive and plosive. What is occlusive? Sometimes known as a stop, is a consonant sound produced by occluding, or we may call it blocking, airflow in the vocal tract. Occlusive require a complete closure of the speech canal, not just a restriction. This distinguishes them from the continuance. The occlusion is twofold. The airstream is halted by a sudden closure in the oral cavity, and the trapped air is fed by abruptly releasing the closure. Okay, here are some examples of occlusive in English. B, b, t, the, k, g, and B is a voiceless bilabial stop consonant. The lips are pressed tightly together. The air is trapped behind the lips. The vocal cords are kept far apart, and the nasal cavity is closed by the velum. B is the voiced counterpart of P. The only difference is that the vocal cords are close to each other and vibrate during the articulation of B. In the case of the nasal cavity is open. B and P, T and D, K and G. T is a voiceless dental or alveolar stop. The tongue makes contact with the front teeth or with the alveolar ridge directly above them. There is no vocal cord vibration and the nasal cavity is blocked. The is a voiced dental or alveolar stop. It's produced in the same way as T, but with vibration of the vocal cords. K is a voiceless velar stop, with the tongue tip resting against the lower teeth. The back of the tongue makes contact with the soft palate. G is its voiced counterpart. Its articulation is the same as G, but with vibration of the vocal cords. The corresponding velar nasal is usually voiced as well. Some languages, including Persian, have a glossal occlusive too. Okay, next to plosive. Plosive sounds are made by forming a complete obstruction to the flow of air through the mouth and nose. You can try to say P slowly. You should be able to feel the build-up of air that bursts into the P sound when you open your lips. The plosive sounds are B, P, T, the, K, and G. As it was mentioned earlier, plosive sounds belong to a more general class of sounds called stops. A stop sound is one in which the flow of air is completely blocked only in the oral cavity.
Next, I would like to explain about fricative. A fricative is the type of consonant that is formed by forcing air through a narrow gap in the oral cavity so that a hissing sound. Typically, air is forced between the tongue and the place of articulation for the particular sound. Like with plosive, there is a complete blockage of the airstream in the oral cavity. But in contrast to said plosive, the blocked off airstream is not released suddenly, but rather slowly, causing audible friction. A fricate can therefore be divided into two parts: First is apophysis followed by fricative, as there is a closure and friction in the same place. But note that affricates are always analyzed as only one phoneme. This is the example of English affricate sounds. Cheek and match. Air is blocked with tongue just beyond the alveolar ridge post-alveolar, then released as a fricative. Second is jam and batch. Air is blocked with tongue just beyond the alveolar ridge post-alveolar, then released as a fricative.
Okay, next, my name is Laili Indakusuma. Today I will explain about lateral. The first is definition. A lateral is a consonant in which the air stream proceeds along the sides of the tongue, but it is blocked by the tongue from going through the middle of the mouth. An example of a lateral consonant is the English L, as in Larry. To produce a lateral sound, air is obstructed by the tongue at a point along the center of the mouth, but the sides of the tongue are left low so that air can escape over its sides. In fact, the tongue is strongly flexed, and the air is forced through a narrow oval cavity, producing a hissing sound. L is the clearest example of a lateral sound in English. Both the clear L and the word final dark allevons, the variants of the same phoneme of L, are lateral sounds. When an alveolar plosive is followed by the lateral L, then what happens is that we simply lower the sides of the tongue to release the compressed air, rather than raising and lowering the blade of the tongue. If you say the word bottle to yourself, you can feel the sides of the tongue lower to let out the air. For example, a very common variation allevon of L is also found in standard pronunciation. It is made in the same way at the front of the mouth, though the tongue is also raised at the back of the mouth. Clear L versus dark L. In pronunciation teaching, the two L sounds above are often referred to as clear L for the alveolar sound and dark L for the alveolar and velar sound. For example, like, play, like, play, like, play for clear L, and then tall, fall, tall, fall, tall, fall for dark L.
Hi, I'm Safira and now I want to tell about the nasal. Yeah, a nasal consonant is a consonant in which air escapes only through the nose. There are three nasal sounds in English. First is the mh in mid, the second is nah in not, and the last is ngah in sing or think. The nasal exclusive of the vast majority of the world's languages are voiced. Very few not so famous languages have voiceless nasals too, during the production of these nasal occlusives. The soft palate is lowered to a greater or lesser extent, allowing a portion of the airstream to pass through the nasal cavity. Occlusion occurs in the mouth only. The nasal resonance is continuous. Indeed, many linguists rank the nasal among the continuants. The mouth is configured just as for the corresponding bilabial stop p and b. The lips are pressed tightly together. The mouth is configured just as for the corresponding dental or alveolar stop t and the. The configuration of the mouth is very close to that of the corresponding velar stop k and g. With the tongue tip resting against the lower teeth, the back of the tongue makes contact with the soft palate. But as the soft palate is lowered to allow air to flow through the nasal cavity, the tongue movement is more important for the nasal than for the oral sound.
Voicing is important in a language because the meaning of a sound often depends on whether the sound is voiced or not. For example, back carries a very different meaning from back. There are two types of consonants, voiced and voiceless. The level of vibration of the vocal cord determines whether a sound is voiced or unvoiced. Voiced can be happen if the vocal cords are vibrate. If they are don't vibrate, voiceless are produced. Voiceless have limited phonemes like s, p, k, f, c, o, and h. Other of those is phonemes of voiced. This is way how to distinguish between voiced and voiceless. Put your finger to throat and say s and z. After that, also try to say f and f. Repeat this few times. When you say z and f, you feel vibration on your finger. This is include voiced consonants. But when you say s and f, you don't feel a vibration, and this is voiceless consonant.
Affricate. An affricate is a plosive immediately followed by a fricative in the same place of articulation. The teeth in shape and the jib are the two clear affricates in English. The sound is made from the plosive T and the fricative sh sounds. Likewise, the sound is made up from the plosive T immediately followed by the fricative S. Fortes and leanness. Fortes and leanness are closely related to level of vibration. Fortes sounds are those that are made with strong muscular effort, origination in the loud. Leanness is the opposite. The example of the forte sound include T and K. Leanness sounds include D and G. So all the voice sounds are leanness and all the voiceless sounds are fortes sounds. Lips propounding. From of our modification in which the lips are involved is lip rounding, the production of same vowels, the glide W and the red reflex are the lips are rounded so that their shape becomes circular. So many people called lips rounding.
Okay, that's all from us, guys. Thank you so much for paying attention to our presentation. We really appreciate your attention. We hope all of us can understand this material today. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.